Good morning, friends, and welcome to take two for this. Oh my goodness, let me look at the calendar here. Can it be? Oh my goodness, it's April the 1st, 2019. No fooling. You know what that means, don't you? I'm so glad you could be with me on this April Fool's Day 2019. Wow, what is April Fool's Day anyway? You know, I started doing some research on it, and it is crazy. There is no actual confirmed origin of this crazy holiday. Some people think it might have started in the Canterbury Tales. There's some mention about something about on the 1st of April being foolish, and there's all different ways that countries celebrate it. I was reading about that, and how in the Nordic countries, the Scandinavian countries, they do one fake news story, like really outrageously fake news. Not that there's fake news every day around here, but I mean something like that. They kind of celebrate it that way, and there's just all kinds of ways that people have of kind of commemorating or celebrating this goofy, crazy holiday. It's one of those really fun kind of days. I think about the court jester. This is the best I could do for court jester. But the royal, all of the royal thrones, when April Fools became popular, they were having the court jester come in and do some kind of extra silly, joking kind of thing. And it's just so funny to imagine that there's such a holiday as this, but let's celebrate it. Have you ever pulled pranks on anybody? I know my sister Fran, she pulled a real doozy on me one time. I'm telling tales now here, Fran. But when we were kids, my mother used to love to cook a lot of different, she liked to learn about cooking from different countries and that kind of thing. So she didn't cook just Italian food. She liked to cook all kinds of other food too. And our neighbors, the Strajewskis, were from Poland. And Anne Strajewski and my mother were good pals. And she would teach Anne Italian cooking, and Anne taught my mother some Polish cooking. And if you've ever been in Poland, which I have, or know anything about Polish cooking, there's a lot of cabbage involved. And they have this stuff called borscht. Now, I know the Germans also use this too, but you use a lot of red cabbage in your cooking in Polish cooking. So my mother bought this big giant jar of borscht. Now, what it is finely chopped cabbage in a jar, red cabbage, with water, liquid, and it's salty and really disgusting tasting by itself, but when you cook it in dishes, it's a different story altogether. Now, Fran and I used to like to drink Welch's grape juice when we were kids. So one day she said to me, "Jeannie, do you want some grape juice?" You know where I'm going with this. And I was like, "Yeah, sure." This is a little girl, and my sister's a couple years older than me. So she took, it wasn't unusual for us to pour each other a drink of juice or whatever. So she took a big tall glass and she put ice cubes in it, and she poured borscht juice in this. Yes, she did. And she had it sitting on the table. I was in the bedroom, and she said, "Jeannie, your juice is on the table." Now, it could have been April Fool's Day she did this, or just any other day. She just felt like being scutchy. So I came running in, and I took a big giant of this stuff, and it was borscht juice. Now imagine, if you will, it was salty, it was cabbagey, and I just a little girl, I remember just spitting it out, and Fran's hysterical laughing in the kitchen. Okay, so those are the kinds of things that are harmless pranks that you could, do and pull on one another, and think like on April Fool's Day. Now, of course, some people go really far, and they pull big, elaborate, practical jokes. I'm not encouraging you to do a thing like that. Only harmless things that nobody is going to get hurt. Now, did that taste stay in my mouth for a little while? Sure it did. But we, to this day, all these many years later, 40, 50 years later, we still laugh about it because it was quite a harmless prank that my sister pulled on me. And we were always doing silly little goofy things like that back and forth to each other. And we reminisce about it quite a bit, and we still have a good laugh over the harmless pranks that we might pull beautiful as children or as young people together. But you know, the truth of the matter is, being a fool is not a good thing if you don't put it in perspective. Now, there are some people in this world who live their lives repeatedly as fools. They're constantly making bad choices, constantly making bad decisions, and of course, as a result, you have the fruit of it is that they end up in a lot of trouble. There are consequences to repeated foolish actions. Now, if my sister did that kind of thing to me every single day, which of course she didn't, and I felt battered by it, that could have been very detrimental in my life. But because it was a single, isolated, silly incident, we can reflect back on it and laugh because we know that it was quite harmless. But you know, when you repeatedly do things like that, people can end up feeling like punching bags, and that's not a good thing. Likewise, as I said earlier, any kind of foolishness as a lifestyle could be very detrimental because then you don't grow up. You don't grow up to be a responsible adult. You know, I pulled up some quotes about fools and foolishness, and I just want to share a few of them with you, okay? Listen to this. Alexander Pope, on an essay on criticism, said, "Fools rush in where angels fear to tread." In other words, have wisdom before you make any decisions. Don't do things harshly because in the end it could end up being a very foolish thing. Okay, listen to this. Winston Churchill said something interesting. He said the greatest lesson in life is to know that even fools are right sometimes. So keep an ear open when somebody says something because it may sound foolish to you, but it might be a right thing too. So be thinking about that fact. Listen to this. Agatha Christie, in her story Murder at the Vicarage, she said this: "The young people think that old people are fools." How many young people do you know who think anybody over 25 is stupid, right? The young people think old people are fools, but old people know that the young people are the fools. And you can be foolish for thinking that everybody else around you is a fool except you. That's the truth, isn't it? What about what the Bible has to say about fools and foolishness? Well, I love the book of Proverbs because the book of Proverbs is considered the book of wisdom. And of course, wisdom is the opposite of foolishness. So Proverbs 18:2-3 says, "Fools have no interest in understanding. They only want to air their own opinions. Doing wrong will lead to disgrace, and scandalous behavior will bring contempt." All right, how about Proverbs 1:5-7 says, "Let the wise listen to these proverbs and become even wiser. Let those with understanding receive guidance by exploring the meaning in these proverbs and parables, the words of the wise and the fear of their riddles." Fear of the Lord, or respect and reverence for the Lord, is the foundation of true knowledge. But fools, well, they despise wisdom and discipline. See, you must be wise. And as I said, wisdom is the opposite of foolishness. So although you might pull a little prank like my sister did with the borscht juice to me when we were just youngsters, that's all well and good, and that's all fine and silly and great. And I would even encourage you, sometimes doing a little silly prank will lift up people's day because it's good to laugh, because laughter is good medicine. But when you live a lifestyle of foolishness, that will only lead to destruction. You know, there's one more here that I really, really appreciate, and that is in Proverbs 12:15. It's so simple. Listen to this. "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who hearkens unto counsel is wise." In other words, he who takes good advice and looks for the right way to do things in life, that's the man or woman who is wise, not the one who leans on their own understanding and chooses the foolish way out, okay? So today, boys and girls, go be a blessing to somebody today. You might end up being the only one who is. And while you're at it, think long and hard that you don't want to be anybody's fool, okay? And if you know somebody who is going through some serious foolish decision making, you go be the arm around the shoulder and give them some love, okay? And don't do it jokingly, do it seriously, and let them know. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jeannie Sigler, Jeannesigler. Hit that subscribe button, and also for the best music and programming and all that stuff, and that's no joke, and that's no fool. I'm not fooling. Go to WRMZ.org and hit that listen button. Okay, everybody, I'm nobody's fool today, and I hope that you are not a fool either. Don't be a fool, okay? Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.